All right. Got it there. YouTube is saying you are live. All right, ladies. So this is your last chance to take off or to back out. Hold on, I gotta turn this. Got it. There we go. I've done it before where I get the back feed and don't even realize it. So you're not allowed to leave now. We're live. You have to stick around. But anyways, we're gonna let some people kind of get on. I'm sure that the YouTube feed will build up some. So is this your first podcast, you three? Like official podcast?
First ever in my life.
First ever podcast. All right. Well, I have a feeling that there's going to be more to come, but
actually, I have to say this. I was not nervous in my US Opens, but I was nervous for this podcast before coming. Seriously.
How funny is that? You were nervous to shoot in the US Open, but you're nervous for a podcast.
Yes.
Listen, there's nothing to be nervous about because if you didn't watch the Nationals one, episode 30 with all the guys, it's just a bunch of shenanigans anyway. So
yeah,
it's no big deal. If any, you have to remember, like when you do stuff like this, that the people that are watching because they are happy for you. They want to hear what you have to say. They're here in support of you. So you can't make a mistake. It's kind of like when you're shooting. Like if you make a mistake, it's not a mistake. It's a learning. You've learned from that moment. So it's really just us having a conversation about your experience, all three of you. And obviously, for those of you who are joining in, Claire couldn't join us, unfortunately. We had some scheduling changes, and I'm going to start recording. 1 second. So yeah, Claire, unfortunately, just with rescheduling and moving, we had to, she's not involved, but I'll get with Claire. Don't worry. I might even just get with her one-on-one and do a podcast with her because she's just been a staple of barebow for women for quite a few years. And yeah, so sorry, Claire, we miss you. But anyways, we are officially going to start. Before we get started here with episode 31 and these wonderful ladies of barebow, I just have to do a quick thank you to our sponsors. Yes, I'm going to read from the list because it's right next to me. Lancaster Archery Supply, Jaeger Archery Products, XS Wings, Hoyt Archery, that's a new sponsor, Yost Archery Products, and of course, AAE. I have to say a huge thank you to those wonderful companies because they have been very supportive of barebow. They are continuing to support barebow and they support this podcast, which helps support barebow. So golf clap for them. But anyway, so this is kind of a cool episode because all three of you are new to podcasting and you're all sort of new to the national stage, I think, in that level. For Outdoor Target Nationals. Susan, have you ever been in the top 3 for Target? You have. Okay.
This is my
been
second.
Around the block. She's been around the block when it comes to barebow archery, but you had a great nationals experience. So, all right. So this is what we need to do. We're going to go through. We're going to go Susan first, BG next, and then Samantha. And you guys are going to introduce yourselves and let's tell us how your national experience went as far as like where you placed as far as mixed teams, solid teams, nationals, US Open, whatever you want. And then we're going to get into just kind of how your experiences went. So go ahead, Susan.
All right, great. Well, first, Frank, thank you. Thank you for this opportunity and thank you for everything you do for barebow. So I entered every event that I was eligible for in nationals. At the end of the second day, I was third in individuals. And on the first day, the afternoon of the first day, I competed in mixed teams. This guy, John.
Yeah, I don't know him. I never heard of him.
Pink shirt. Anyway, John Demmer, for some crazy reason, asked me to be his partner, and I wasn't smart enough to say no. So we did that, and we took the silver medal that day. And then in the women's team, I partnered with Chrissy Lyons and Maggie Brensinger, and we took the gold that day. Thank you.
Who are they? No, I'm just playing. Anyway, okay. Is that all yours?
US Open, I went out in the 8 to Samantha, and then had a great afternoon cheering after that.
You did, and you wore a Barebow Project t-shirt. Just saying.
Of course I did.
All right, VG, you're up.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Frank, for organizing this event. And yeah, this was my first nationals in United States, and that I'm so happy and excited. I'm so happy to meet such a wonderful co-archers, and I get to met a lot of people and wonderful archers. And in the US nationals, I was a US nationals champion, and I finished first. I mean, I was a first place, and in the US Open, I was second officially. So officially, I was second in the next day. So that we'll talk about that later on. But so yeah, this is up.
Okay, all right. You didn't do teams or mixed teams?
No, since it was my first nationals, I didn't get to know about these teams and all. So I was not known about these teams. But next year, definitely I'll team up with these two guys.
I was just gonna say you're gonna be yeah, you're
Yes.
gonna be getting private messages. Hey, do you want to do mixed teams? Do you want to do? Unfortunately, I'm committed pretty much forever at this point with my wonderful little student Maggie Brensinger, but I'm pretty sure you're going to be getting some messages because it's starting to get competitive in that mixed team stuff, as you all have found out. All right, Samantha, give us the intel on your nationals experience as far as placement and who you are, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay, I placed 6th in nationals, and then we did teams. My husband and I did the mixed teams, and we went out to Stonebreaker in Clare. So, then let me see, we did ladies teams. We had some issues with a member having to stand back and got somebody else to fill in, which was really nice. Just last minute, we had no practice together, and we got through to bronze medal, but obviously we didn't go through on that one. And then we did the US Open, and I was flying through some of those things. And then we went to the gold match, which was a big surprise. And officially I got it, but actually I got second. Unofficially, we're waiting for that to work itself out.
Yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit. So just in regards to the national event, the 2-a-day event, have all of you, Susan, I know you have shot 2-day events before, but BG and Samantha, have you shot, well, you shot nationals in 2016. Have you shot 144 arrows that close together before, or a lot? Or what was your preparation, all three of you? And you can just comment whenever. Did you shoot a lot of tournaments leading up? Were you doing something specific for practice? So on and so forth. VG, I heard through a grapevine, might be Competition Archery Media, about your practice situation.
Snakes.
So please comment on that. But Susan, how about you? Did you shoot a lot this summer? Were you preparing for nationals in a specific way?
I did. I haven't shot a tournament in over a year and a half, which isn't what I would normally do to prepare for a tournament. But I have the great good fortune to be a member of the Isaac Walton League in Arlington, Fairfax, and they've got indoor, outdoor, field, 3D. So I was able to get out and use their target archery range almost every day. I did a lot of my shooting at 6 o'clock in the morning so that it was a little cooler. And I got to, watch the deer and the groundhogs frolic around. Just before nationals, I was shooting at least a tournament and a half to 2 tournaments worth of arrows every day. And then I would go ahead and finish up with a team rotation where I would shoot and make sure I do my steps around a chair so that I was practicing coming up on one side and then stepping off on the other, and I had a stopwatch and all of that.
Awesome. That's some dedication. So 6 a.m. every day for how long?
A few months.
Really?
Nice.
That's outstanding. I think people need to, I don't know if a lot of barebow archers understand what it takes to be able to, the volume of arrows it takes to get so comfortable with your shot that it carries you through an event like that. So that's good that you're that you're putting that out there, because it's super, super important. Like 1 or 2 days a week just doesn't cut it, really, in retrospect. So Samantha, how about you? What was your preparation like leading up to your nationals tournament, that 2-day tournament?
We did a lot of training beforehand. We have like little spreadsheet, work out the amount of arrows we need to shoot every day. And we would shoot 5 days a week. Yeah. And then like a Tuesday and a Thursday, we would have what we call cardio. So we do a walking or other exercise, or just to kind of break up the archery, use different muscles and give the archery muscles time to rest. And we'd kind of ramp it up. We'd have a certain amount of arrows every day, and then we'd have a day of more than average. And closer to competition, we would actually shoot a competition, like the amount of arrows every day, if possible, so that we can get just used to the whole thing of not only being able to keep the strength in the bow, but the concentration, which is often what I kind of lag. And then we did the Yankton, just the outdoor, the 900-600 combination as practice. And then we did a Missouri State just the weekend before nationals. And that was just a 1 day. But again, we'd organized to have a lot more arrows than the competition would have, and just try and, oh, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Okay.
you're good. That
Okay.
was my computer. Don't worry.
I heard a funny sound. So yeah, the mental thing is, for me, is always a big thing. I get really nervous going to a competition. And so I find practicing for competition, kind of going to a competition is the best practice for competition. So we try and do smaller ones. We shoot against each other on our range, just stuff like that, to get that preparation.
Yeah, Coach, I don't know if you guys know who Dick Tone is. He's the coach for Casey Caulfield. He was the coach for Jay Bars, for Justin Hewish a little bit as well. And he calls that tournament callus. So you build up a callus. You get, you don't get immune to the nerves, but you just don't get overly excited. It's just arrows. That's, and I have to agree, unless you've been in the sport for a long time, and even if you've been in the sport for a long time, there's certain levels of shooting that still get you excited. It gets you amped up, but it depends on how much training you have that teaches you, to fall back on your shot process, to deal with the nervousness. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, tournament callus, for those who are just getting into any archery whatsoever, not just barebow, can't emphasize enough how important it is to try to get out to as many tournaments as you can. Now, here I am saying that, and I did not shoot a single tournament all year long. My life revolves around some other things, including this podcast. So just to be expected. The last tournament I shot was indoor nationals in March, but it's one of those things, like and I wish I could have, because it makes a difference, for sure it does. And, unfortunately, not everybody has access to these types of tournaments all over the country, which is unfortunate, but I think that's improving. So VG, you have some interesting practice stories from what I understand. So I'm interested to hear about your preparation and maybe some of the things you've dealt with.
Yeah, my practice was interesting, and even my coach was also interesting, because he was a recurve archer. He is a recurve archer, but he is a coach for me, which is a barebow. So he is Fred. Thank you so much, Fred. And without you, this wouldn't be possible. And thank you so much.
Oh,
and so yeah, he actually stood third in this field Darrington national field in masters men recurve. So yeah, and regarding my practice, and I actually started my practice 3 to 4 months before the nationals. And I recently moved to Colorado, where and I found tough time in finding a good field in the nearest miles. I don't have any field which is a full target which we shot in the nationals. The only field which I had is like 10 to 15 mile far away, and those are the hanging targets which are literally like maybe this much, half of our regular targets. So those are those are literally hanging, and there are bushes all over back of the targets. So if I miss the arrow, then it's lost. So that's, while tuning wise, I lost like 3 to 4 arrows, and with that fear of losing an arrow, no, I can't afford losing an arrow just for the practice and tuning. I used to just focus on each and every arrow while tuning, and made sure that arrow doesn't go the back of the target. So that is the first thing which made me to have my right shot and perfection in my shot.
That's
And
funny. Did you tell PJ Riley that like you've seen rattlesnakes and stuff like that
yes,
when you're
I
out
saw
practicing
I saw them live, and I saw some big snake skins, the rattlesnake skins, the
around your
snake.
practice target?
Yeah, yes. While the practice, when I missed the arrow, when I go back to get my arrow, I saw the snake skins and the live snakes just wandering over there.
Yeah.
So
So you're like,
no,
no, no, thank you.
no, thank you.
Don't miss
So
anymore.
no wrong shot, and don't miss your arrow, and don't go into the
All right.
snakes.
So for everyone listening, this is what the national champ is saying. You should get rattlesnakes and put them behind your target and then practice at it. All right. That's what she's saying right now. That's just so funny. So how often were you shooting?
At the time, so weekly, Monday to Friday, since I work, so after my work hours, I used to go to that hanging snake targets and shoot Monday to Friday. And in the weekends, I get to go one day, which is like 2 hours around from my place, where I'll have a proper target. So there, weekly once, I get to shoot in the target. That is also maybe 2 weeks before the nationals. So just 2 weeks before the nationals, I shot 2 times or thrice in the big target, actual target. So before that, I was just shooting in that regular hanging targets. The reason I went behind is just to check my crawl thing and all. If it is okay or not at 50 meters, I don't know when if it's going or not. And also, I was shooting in the yards, not in meters, while I was shooting in the hanging, because it was set in yards. So I didn't get to. So I had to choose some midpoint and then go ahead and shoot.
Okay.
So it was a good practice.
That is just super, super funny, that you had to deal with that. But again, I mean, in some ways, it definitely benefited you. You're like, you got to make the arrows count. And if you don't want to go look for arrows where there's like a snake pit, I mean, that's exaggeration, but yeah, that's what you're gonna do. So that's
probably makes the pressure of a tournament easier.
Absolutely.
No snakes at nationals.
Well, I mean, let's weigh it in reality. National tournament, get bitten by a rattlesnake. Which one's got to, I think it definitely works. So between the three of you, I do have a question, and I want other, the ladies that are coming up through, women who are trying to pursue barebow that maybe are thinking about going to nationals. Did you guys do drills? Did you do anything outside of just shooting arrows or shooting that helped you? And if you did, what would that be? Anyone?
I'll go.
Go.
Okay. We did do quite a bit of the draw and hold, and I'm not up to a minute or anything like that, but it really helped me to realize inconsistency maybe in my fingers, and I'm not actually got the pressure on all the fingers at the same way all the time, because you're just standing there holding it, and so you can concentrate on different things rather than the aiming of the arrow. And that also really built my strength in being able to get really nicely into my back and feeling comfortable with my bow, which before maybe I didn't have as much. They are really hard. But on days that we had little time, we would do some of those instead of shooting arrows, and then still shoot some arrows after that, just to make up the amount of arrows we had to work on.
Yeah. And just after, I'm going to take my podcast host hat off and put my coaching hat on. Draw holds are like taking the shot, and you just break down the shot into segments. If you do a 15-second draw hold, that's like shooting 3 perfect shots. Even though you still aimed, you still held, you just didn't let it go. But that portion of the shot was perfect. You drew it back, you anchored, you aimed. It was all perfect. So, on the coaching side, in my opinion, that's 3 perfect arrows that you just shot. That whereas if you were aiming and shooting 50 meters and you plucked all 3 on 2 of the 3, you're still benefiting from doing those draw holds. And I try to emphasize that to people all the time. Like the kids that I coach, they do more drills than they do shooting for score. And it's tough. I mean, I gotta, I gotta play the role of let's have some fun and not have to do drills every once in a while, but I like sprinkle them in there every single time they shoot, because that's what's going to make you better. I try to tell people this all the time. Shooting drills is where it's at. You can shoot all the scored arrows you want. You'll get better, but you're going to get better this way. Whereas with shooting drills, you're going to go, you know what I mean? So I'm glad you said that. That's outstanding information. Okay, back to the podcast hat. Go ahead, Susan. What about you? Anything specific or?
Yeah, so I'm a single mom, so every other week I have my son, and I can't obviously go out to my club at 6 o'clock in the morning and shoot. So I've got a target at home, and so I can shoot 40 meters in my yard at an 80 centimeter target. And so mathematically, that works out to being slightly more challenging than a 122 centimeter target at 50 meters. So I would work on that. When I was out at the club and I had the opportunity to shoot with anyone else, we'd come up with some sort of game, some sort of challenge where we could go head to head. And, some of the times it was, they would shoot 8 arrows and they'd get to score all of their arrows. I'd get to shoot 6 arrows. Only the ones in the gold counted. Everything else of mine was a 0. But we were going head to head, and it was close. So we had that, that pressure that you get in a tournament. And then I do a lot of letdown drills. I do a lot of known and then also unknown letdown drills. So that's where I work with a partner. Sometimes it's my son who's just turned 10. I end up at full draw at strong anchor. He counts to a random number between 0 and 6, and then he decides whether he says let down or shoot.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And I don't let down until I've moved the point off of perfect aim, because why would I let down perfect aim?
Right.
But I would want to, in a tournament situation, I'd want to let down if my aim had wandered off. And then conversely, if he says to shoot or release and my aim isn't perfect, he knows to give me a few seconds to either bring it exactly where I want it or to abort the shot and do the letdown.
That's pretty cool. And that's a great way to incorporate your child into what you're doing. Does your son shoot?
Not anymore. I'm still hopeful. He's the reason I got into archery. Baseball is his sport, so we do incorporate both of those. And quite often we end up with archery being a bit of a biathlon, because we'll run sprints out to the 50 meter target. Of course, I've got the binos on and the quiver and all these things. And if I'm lucky, I win once. Yeah.
That's good though. And that's okay. He's got the rest of his life to shoot archery. He doesn't have to do it now.
That's right.
It's I'm fortunate to have a child that one of my 3 that actually shoot archery, but I don't push it at all. You want to shoot, you shoot. If you don't want to shoot, he runs cross country, he plays basketball, he runs track and field. You go do you. You have the rest of your life to shoot this sport. So it's not a big deal in my book. All right, VG. So what about you? What kind of drills were you doing besides the snake pit?
So regarding the drills, thank you, Susan and Samantha, for saying a lot of drill and techniques, which I'm going to use all of these for my next nationals, because I wish I had a group like you, like the co-shooters and all, but I just shoot. And there are some people which mostly shoot compound and to that range, and I get to meet new people, but not who shoots bear bow. I just see a lot of very less people who are shooting in that range for the bear bow. So, but for the hopefully next year, new bear bow shooter comes to my field and shoot, and we get to shoot together. And regarding the technique which I use is just shoot more arrows, and then I feel right. So for me, grip is very much important. The grip and the anchoring is very much important. And if the release is tight, if the aiming point, if you just hover over the goal, then that's okay. If the grip and the release is tight, the arrows goes into the goal. So if the arrow goes into the goal, it gives me energy and to shoot more arrows. So I don't worry even if the arrow goes just off, because if I know the mistake, if I don't know the mistake and if arrow goes off, then I get disappointed. But if I know the mistake, then I'm happy that I'm learning something new. So shoot more arrows and the practice is my drill. That's it.
Yeah,
Believe
no,
in the shot.
that's good. You shot Olympic recurve though previously, correct?
Yes.
For
In
how
India,
long? For how long?
in India, I'm originally from India, and I used to shoot Indian bow, which is wooden arrow and wooden bow. So
Oh,
it's
okay.
totally of wooden. So in there, I have around 6 years of experience, and I was a national gold medalist in under 13 Indian bow in
Okay.
India. So in USA, I started with a recurve, and I shot quite a bit competitions in Washington State, but I never been to nationals, but I've been to state tournaments. Maybe I shot for 1 year of recurve in United States, and then I moved to barebow, which I liked, and I'm continuing.
Yeah. Okay. There's definitely a
My
difference.
last, my
What's
last,
that?
sorry, my last tournament was 2018, 2019 indoors in Salt Lake City. So that
Okay.
time I get to see a lot of barebow names, shooters' names in there. So I was just looking at those names, and now I came to meet you all. So this time I get to,
So you shot barebow then, or you shot Olympic
yes,
recurve? Okay.
barebow in Salt Lake City. Yeah,
Okay.
that was my first tournament in the barebow, and this was my second.
Okay. Wow. That's outstanding. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's absolutely amazing. Yeah, I mean, you learned from the short time that you shot Olympic recurve to barebow, like the difference between, is there a difference for you in the way that you approach shot a little bit? Because I watch everyone shoot. Let's just put it that way. I watch videos. I've watched every single one of you shoot on video on purpose. I look at every shooter because I'm constantly just evaluating what people are doing and I compare and contrast every shooter in the world that shoots high level barebow. Let's just put it that way.
Mhm.
Well, I'm looking for some feedback here, Frank.
I know.
You
I'm
got,
thinking,
listen,
no,
you got one
don't
of,
tell me that.
you got one of the most talented barebow shooters in the world, even though he's kind of semi-retired, but I heard he's coming back out here soon near you, and that's Grayson. He can give you all the feedback you need, but of course I would be willing to help. But yeah, and but Grayson and John and seeing these guys shoot and seeing what are the common characteristics of people who shoot with just incredible consistency. So like the VG, what I was getting to is like, did you notice a difference, something you needed to do differently with shooting barebow versus shooting Olympic recurve, or even your past experience?
Main thing is for the grip, I don't see, because anyway, even it is recurve or the barebow, we have to let go the bow with the release, and the scapula, the scapula should turn around when we are anchoring. So these both are same. I guess it's same for. I remember it's same for both recurve and barebow, but the aiming point is different for the barebow. Obviously, we shoot with the tip of the arrow, and then my anchoring point is really. So it took me a lot of time for the consistency. In the last Salt Lake City, I was not that confident with my anchoring, because I was not that consistent, not confident, but not consistent with my anchoring. So, and if I see my scores of my Salt Lake City, those are not consistent. For few arrows, the anchoring was right and the tip of the arrow was right, and I was able to shoot in the goal. And for not many arrows was consistent. But with the time and with the practice, my anchoring became consistent and my aiming became consistent, which helped me a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And the grip is very much important. I recently changed my grip to the dimmer grip, John Dimmer grip. The name of it's the dimmer grip. So I think that helped me a lot, because there is a lot of change in the shot. The arrow shot is I can feel the difference when I'm shooting with my previous grip versus the dimmer grip. So
Yeah, I unfortunately shoot the same grip. I don't even know what that is, but it works. It does work.
yeah, it worked. Yes.
Definitely is a comfortable grip. He knows a thing or two. I don't know. So they say. But no, that's good. That's good feedback. I'm glad to hear that you've seen some differences and
Yes.
that you're working through it like everybody else. Susan's been shooting barebow for quite some time. Samantha, you've actually been shooting barebow for a decent amount of time too. So like but to go from 2016 to 21 making the US Open, and like that's an impressive improvement.
I did shoot 2015, 2016. Was kind of the indoor season, and then the outdoor season nationals was my last competition almost, because we moved from Alabama to Oklahoma and built our own house, and so like physically built. And it just took a lot of our time. There was no time to practice. We would be out here building day and night and weekends. And so we just took off about 2 years, I think, and got back in 2019 indoor season. So I haven't had a solid so many years of practice. I'm just back in my second or third year now for the second one. But I have learned a lot more. And maybe by going to competitions and speaking to other people, because like Vijay says, you go to a place, you show up and you're the only one, because barebow hasn't been that welcomed. Like in 2015, they'd ask me, when you're getting a real bow, because everybody else in that club shot a different kind of bow. But it's growing, and you guys really have been instrumental in that, in making it more the training available and making it more acceptable, almost, in like, hey, it's okay to pick up a barebow and actually do well with it, So speaking to others, learning from them, even like just what Susan said, Vijay says, we're all going to go home and practice these things, because we can say, hey, it works for them, I'm going to try it. So the more we talk about it and the more we get together and influence other people, we will certainly see a growth. My first 2016, there were 8 of us. And this time there were 18, and that was total. That was masters and senior.
Oh, wow.
And this year we were only, we were 18, just the senior ladies. Yeah. So it is growing, and it's good to know that.
Yeah, so you've seen that growth just since, you got involved in it as well. And I thank you for the nice comments, all of you. I started barebow sort of by accident. It's John Wirt's fault. He was like, dude, you got to try this. You're going to enjoy it. Because I was shooting Olympic recurve at the time, and I shot Olympic recurve well. But I also wanted to coach it. And I'm not saying that this is a commonplace for everyone, but for me, I was not going to call myself a coach of barebow if I couldn't do it myself, period. That's just how I am, and so I kind of what's the word? I went out on this journey to learn barebow. John, thankfully, is not far from me. John and I used to banter back and forth, because he shot scores with barebow that I was shooting with Olympic recurve, and he would just bust on me all the time, which obviously that hasn't stopped. But that's when I was like, okay, I want to do this game because it looks fun. All the people who are involved in it are fun, and I want to be able to coach it. The barebow project came because we saw that the growth in the class was already happening, but you guys, I guess it's just picking apart things that John has done and Grayson and whoever we have, and maybe the stuff that I've learned over the years, and making it available. You can find all the information out there in the world for Olympic recurve and for compound, but it's just not available for barebow. And, and part of developing the barebow project is providing opportunities like this one, where you guys have stories and you have found success. So if one thing that the 3 of you that are on this podcast helps someone, that's why you're here. And that's why we provide this, because that's not available. There's nobody doing Olympic recurve podcast, and there's nobody doing compound podcast, not in regards to what this is about. So understand, you guys are giving back to the sport by just being here, and that's what matters. And as you move forward, it's only going to make the girls that are following you or new shooters, new adults coming in behind you get better. And that's why we do this. And that's why we're here. But anyways, I will tell you guys kind of just one up the men. Our viewers on YouTube are higher for you than they were for us. I'm just saying. Right now they're not, but they were. So kudos to you. Apparently the women do that better too.
Is that because we're not eating cereal?
What's that?
Shouldn't we be eating cereal?
Yeah,
You guys are doing on yours?
yeah, Captain Crunch for Crunch Berries. I don't have any around me, unfortunately, for this one. That was, I don't know if did you guys watch the episode? It was
Yes.
Demer's reaction was absolutely hilarious, but that was weeks in planning. The Godzilla shirts was Matty Yaka's idea, and then the cereal was just as a matter of fact, he just logged in to the chat on YouTube. Matty did, the US Open champion, Matt Yaka. But anyways, and then the cereal was just absolutely hilarious. If you only could have been there, like I wasn't awake while Zernzak was doing. We were up all night long chatting, blah blah blah. We were talking about the triggerless shot and stuff like that. I was like, dude, I need to go to bed. So I go to bed, and I could just picture him there, like snickering by himself with this bag of Crunch Berries all strewn across the kitchen table, picking them out because he was a little he was fired up a little bit, but the next morning was hilarious. So, but anyways, I don't want to talk about the dudes. We're here to celebrate you guys. So US Open. All right. Let's talk about the elephant in the room a little bit here. So Susan, you who did you come through with your eliminations, and how did things go for you? I know you didn't place in the top 3, but you ended up being a coach, which is kind of cool and a fun experience. So tell us about your experience first.
So I think I had a bye in the first round, and then I had Amy Radner-Cooley, and that was a dog fight. My shot had really deteriorated by that point. I'd been battling target panic, which I'd never had before. It reared its ugly head at nationals, and thank goodness for these 2 ladies and Chrissy Lyons for getting me through as far as we did. And then I drew Samantha in the round of 8, and she has nerves of steel. So we went a couple ends there, and she persevered, and I was thrilled to put my bow down and then just cheer, just help any way I could, enjoy the shooting and watch and support the amazing community.
Awesome. Good stuff. So let's go with VG. Who did you come through the eliminations? How did you end up in the gold medal match for the Open?
Just like Susan, my first match was by, and second was Tracy. I shot with Tracy, and then I shot with Melody Richards, and which was a good match. And the first 2 matches that was tough, but I'm comfortable a bit with my shot, so I was okay. And then I shot the third round. I shot with the 3 persons, one with Tracy, Melody Richards, and then Chrissy Lyons. So the third match was a good one. So I was comfortably shooting all these 3. I just did not focus on the scoring. I just focused on that particular shot and trying to be in the present, and then I finished that and I went to the gold medal match. I'm so happy for that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that experience in and of itself, shooting against Melody, who's a previous USAT member,
right? Yes.
Chrissy, last year's national champion, second place in US Open. So you're going against people who have been down that road. But I am going, again, I'm going to put my coach hat on for a minute. You did not focus on score. Yeah. The importance of that is just, I can't emphasize.
Every arrow counts. Even in my 72 arrow, the first 2 days, every arrow, I tried to just focus on each and every arrow, because while shooting in my practice in the snake field, I'll not give the time. So I'll just I have 12 arrows in my quiver, and I just shoot all of them maybe in 2 or 2 minutes, maybe less than 1 minute, all the 12 arrows. I'll just trust shooting them, which I need to reduce in the next practice. And because that's what in the but while in the tournament day we have 4 minutes for those 6 arrows, and also I had to wait for the other second round, right? A, B, and C, D. So I had to wait. It's a lot of timing waiting game, which I didn't practice, which was not there in my practice, and which I need to learn. And yeah, and also I had to learn the waiting game and also the timer game. In the US Opens, I had to shoot with the timer on, which made me a bit nervous. So that's what made me I need to practice on that timer thing.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you, if you shoot, for those of you out there that are considering coming to nationals next year, shoot the mixed team, shoot the solid team, because that practice helps tremendously with the US Open and shooting elimination matches.
Sure.
Try to find a partner, try to find a team, come out and shoot that. And I'll be honest with you, out of the entire weekend, I think those two events are some of the most fun we've had. It's just a blast. I don't care, it's not that there's pressure, but you want to win. Like, I don't know about you, but there's two people that, well, Demmer, obviously I always want to beat him, but Stonebreaker, man, I wanted him so bad, and Claire got us. Claire and Rick got us, me and Maggie, we tied, and they got us, and we ended up going to the third place match with Maggie, and yes, we won a bronze medal. Good job, Maggie. Fist bump to you. But anyways, and then Samantha, how did your eliminations go coming through US Open?
I also had a bye in my first one. I was on target 57 and I had my bye, and then I shot against, I had to write it down so I wouldn't get it wrong, because I keep calling her Ruby Rose, but it's Emily.
Ruby
so
Chambers.
Sweet. Emily, and she's so sweet. And then Susan was the next one, and I stayed on 57, and then Claire, and I was still on 57, and they went to 5, and I just kept shooting until they told me to stop, because I wasn't checking scores either. I wasn't aware of what was happening beside me. I just knew there were other people shooting, and because I was kind of in the middle of the field, things were just happening. We'd go down, score, come back up. And then we had that last arrow with Claire, and it felt just perfect. I shot it, it felt good. And I stood there and I waited for her to shoot. And then I realized, and I turned around and I said, "Is that an X?" Because I wasn't sure. And then Claire said, "Wow," and she congratulated me, and everybody was hugging and kissing and really happy. And we went down to score the arrows, and I said to Claire, "Okay, so do I go and shoot Chrissy now?" Because I kind of thought I have to move along the line to the first target. And she said, no, I shoot Chrissy now. You are going to go against Vigi for the gold over there in that other field. And
You and Matt Yaka, you both did
and I thought, oh no, I'm not prepared for this at all. It was really quite a shock. I was just so happy about my arrow that I didn't realize what I was doing, what was happening beside me. So then, I had to go for the gold. And let me just say this, at that point, I walked back and I asked the judge, how do I score this? Because I'd never done one arrow in competition. We practice it at home, kind of like between and amongst ourselves. But then he told me how to do it. I walked back, what do I do with this? Somebody took off my scorecard, took it to director of shooting. I didn't know who it was. Thank you so much. And then suddenly people came. Now, this is what to expect. This is how it's going to work. Claire's husband was so nice. I mean, I just beaten her.
Yeah.
And he told Vigi and he sat us down. You have to get this, you have to do that, and all these things. And everybody just took care of us. And it was so nice. It kind of took some of the tension and uncertainty of going to that match. Because you can watch it, somebody else doing it, but when you're out there yourself, it's really quite different. It's very different experiencing it for yourself.
There's a lot of moving parts to shooting eliminations, the judges, the director of judges, just running the tournament. And then you get into media, and you have Cam there, and you have announcers, and you have all this stuff going on. And this is probably a good segue into the conversation, because a very unique situation came up with your match. So VG and Samantha went head to head in the US Open, cameras everywhere, all this stuff going on. And you started out, and from the very first end, there was a little bit of a cluster. There was a mistake with the points that were awarded. So let's kind of unhinge this. Actually, no. Yes, let's just talk about your recollection of what was going on, and let's talk about how you guys have handled it as competitors, okay? So VG, you're shooting.
Yes.
You're probably super excited. Things are going, you're just kind of shooting away. And
Exactly.
almost like Samantha's last round where she was like, oh, I'm going, Matt Yaka, I know you're watching this right now. And he did the same exact thing to me. We tied, shot a shoot off. He's like, oh man, good job. I'm so happy I got bronze. Like, no, you're going to the gold medal match against Demmer. It was kind of funny. And then, you're so much nicer, Samantha, because I was like, man, I should have told him that before we started. But anyway, so VG, you're stepping up, you shoot your first 3 arrows in the US Open. Did you, where was your mind, and did you notice the set system board or even your score?
No, previously before entering to that gold medal match, I and Samantha were talking. Okay, so we became such a good friends that okay, we both are supporting each other and we are happy for each other to be at that stage. And seriously, I think Samantha had the same feeling that we don't have that gold medal match nervous at all, because we were just like a friends and we are just going to shoot and okay, let's see how each of us will do. So that is our nervousness feeling. And while we are shooting, there is a thing which so Susan was my coach in the coach box. So Susan was my coach. She supported me a lot, and Steve was my agent. And so while I was just so at that time I'm just shooting, so she's giving me the support, I'm just checking the arrow and then I'm shooting, but we are not aware, and we are not able to see the scores. They'll keep writing like 0-2 and 2-2, so that was not visible at all, even for me and the Susan too, who are standing behind. We were not at all aware of the scores. So even at that point, I'm not worried about my score because I'm just focusing on shooting. So that is the reason I didn't. So they're just telling who goes next, first me and then Samantha. Only that I'm focusing about. But the people who are watching back in my home was just seeing. They are aware of the scoring mess and everything. So okay, so the match was done. So just one arrow at a time, I was just shooting, and then after the match was done, I hugged Samantha and I congratulated, and I was happy with the second medal because I thought. I shot the scores and I was happy with that. I took the medal and I came home. I didn't turn on my phone until that time. When I went home and it turned on, people were just telling about me, about the mess that happened, which none of us aware of at the time, at that tournament time. Yeah. And then Samantha, can you please continue with yours?
Right, now you're going to make me tell them. What happened at the practice field is we were told that I would be number 2 by LB and she'd be number 1 because I was the lower ranking archer. But when we actually went to shoot, they switched us for some reason, somehow. There was a mix-up. Oh, and so when I
didn't know that.
I've actually only watched the match twice. The one time when we came home, we traveled. It's an 18-hour drive without stopping back to Oklahoma. And so drove. And so we only got back Sunday really late. And I said, well, I just want to watch it because I couldn't remember the interview, the questions. You're just not aware of anything, as Vijay said, you just shoot the arrows. And I just wanted to make sure that I hadn't made a fool of myself and how I'd answered and what I'd done. And obviously still thinking I'd won. And then, the point was we couldn't see the scoring at the bottom at all. And when you watch the match, you can see that every time VG shot, I would get the score because the judges down at the scoring end still had the the 1 and 2 scores as it should be, but the archers had been swapped. Yep. That was the first problem. And then when they kind of tried to make the adjustment, because you can see my agent Melody was saying, and you can see her pointing and what's going on
Melody
here, and they were
Melody
both
doesn't miss much.
no, she that's why she was down there. And so there was a little bit of time, you can see they're kind of talking about it. And that's the second time I went to watch the matches, because I got a call from the person who's standing in my coaching box, Elspeth, and she said, there's a problem with the arrows. And I said, well, actually, she phoned me, we were driving, and I couldn't speak to her then. And by the time we got home, I'd watched it the one time, and I realized the switch of the scoring. But I didn't notice that they'd also called the wrong arrows. And then when I spoke to her that evening, she said, yeah, there's a problem. And I went back and had a look, and we actually scored them ourselves. And then we realized, oh my goodness, yeah, I actually didn't win. Vigi got it in like the first 3. I got it in 5, but that doesn't count. And so it was kind of like a funny feeling, because I felt really bad that
No, Samantha.
we had won. I
let
know that's the thing. It's because we were enjoying ourselves so much, and because we were wanting the other one to do really well. You were happy for me, but I was just as happy if you had won, because just getting there was a big thing for me already. You know, it was quite an experience being there. I've learned so much, but then just the mess happened there, and obviously they can't just go back and fix it, because there are the rules and I wrote them down. So if it's it's like
Samantha, you are the true sportsman.
I wouldn't even worry about those.
But you know, so Vijay and I spoke on, was it Monday? Was the first time we were able to talk?
Yes, Monday.
Right. And only got hold of USA Archery by Tuesday. And we had a conference call and tried to get things sorted out from there. So where we are right now is that it's actually the Board of Justice, is that Vijay?
Yes, right? Board of Justice.
Right, yeah. We've put in an application to them and to see, because they are the only ones that can actually reverse the official result.
Even USA Archery guys watched the video and they agreed with our appeal, and they supported us. They wrote a clear, detailed summary of the match and what happened in the match, and they sent to the USA Board of Justice to make the necessary changes and do the in the between ends is the official scoring, right? So they made an appeal for them. So we are still waiting for them. And Samantha, thank you so much. You're a true sportsman with that sportsmanship. She sent me the medal back, gold medal back to me, and we exchanged unofficially, even though they didn't confirm. That is your greatness, Samantha. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and that's really the thing that I wanted you to put out there, so that the barebow community, a lot of people saw that video. A lot of people were like, yeah, there's a mess up. And also, and I'm going to say, sort of in defense of, in like Cam and USA Archery, and like I said, there's a lot of moving parts in doing that event and doing those shoot-offs. In all of the years of doing US Open, I'm not too sure there's been many mistakes like that. I think there was one for sure in the past that I recall. Things are going to happen. You two have the control to make the situation right. No matter what the Board of Justice does, no matter what the ranking says, you two have the ability to do that, and you've done that. Yes. And I think that speaks volumes for the sportsmanship and the respect that you guys have for each other. So, you know, for the barebow community, understand, like, it's not about winning in that situation. You guys were so happy just to be in that elimination, or be in that gold medal match. And, you know, so do you have your medals? Do you have your medals?
I've been tracking Vigi's, but obviously with the what is it? I keep getting the holidays mixed up. Yeah. But because of Monday, there was a delay in hers. Okay. So she hasn't received it, and I don't think mine.
I have my US Nationals gold medal with me.
You have it with you?
Okay, you got it. Okay.
Well, I mean, where is it?
US Nationals. US Nationals. Yeah.
All right.
US Nationals.
Yes.
All right. I wanted to. So listen, when you two get your, when you get your gold medal, And Samantha, when you get your silver medal, please take a picture and send it to me
Sure. Yes.
so that I
Okay.
can post it and say, give you guys at least the official, announcement of we have our first place and second place solidified. There's no more questions. There's no more, and you two, helped kind of put that in place. Forget about everybody else. Forget about the organizations.
Yeah.
None of that stuff matters.
Yes.
It'll work itself out. You guys had enough respect for each other to do it the right way. And I think that's, again, it's awesome. And I have nothing but respect for both of you. And Susan, I mean, being a part of that, you still, you were there watching, and there's so much going on, everybody was like, I didn't pick up on, I watched I watched the match. I was in my binos like this. I look like an archery parent. I look like an archery parent, but I'm watching YouTube shoot, and I'm like every single arrow, and I didn't pick up on it either. But it all comes out in the wash, and you ladies handled it like absolute positive professionals, and I'm nothing but respect. I'm glad you had a good time. You are ambassadors to the sport, and I can't wait to see you guys. Hopefully, so what's your next event? All three of you, what's your next event?
I just checked online. There was a 25. I don't know.
Did any of you sign up for the 25 meter?
Right, that's what I was checking online. Yes, I'm looking into that. I need to sign up. So I just saw some comments that the time limit was done. I'm not sure why, but I need to contact them if they open more slots for that 25-meter shootout.
Yeah, keep a close eye on that.
Yes, yes.
It'll be
We are doing a 900 shoot this Saturday, and then we'll do our Oklahoma State next Saturday. So we've got 2 more outdoor, and then we'll be finished.
Okay.
Yeah, even I have my nationals, our Colorado nationals on September 19th. Here, I'm shooting the 50 meters again outdoors. That will be my last tournament then.
Okay. Susan, how about you? What's your plan? Go right into indoor, or?
So I'm practicing indoor. I'm actually shooting 18 meters outside in my yard these days. But I can't commit to entering any tournaments because I'm trying to hit reset on the target panic. So I've got to get that under control. And I don't want to put any deadlines on myself to make that even more challenging. I'm just taking it day by day. I'm talking to a lot of people. I'm trying to get a lot of different perspectives on it, and I'm just trying to retrain my brain.
Yeah. Well, hey, I mean, people. You need help. People. Yeah, and that's a good plan. That's a good plan. There's a lot coming up. No major tournaments right now. The next big one is definitely the 25-meter shootout, and that's in Louisville, Kentucky at the ATA show for those that are watching. After that will be the Lancaster Archery Classic. I hope all 3 of you get to make that. That is an apt. Have you all shot? Susan, I know you've shot the Classic. VG, you have not?
No, I have not.
Samantha, have you?
No.
You have to go to the Classic. It is so much fun. This is absolutely just amazing tournament. And then, then you have Vegas shortly thereafter, and then the typical indoor nationals, blah, 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 blah. So at any rate, thank you, all 3 of you, for coming on. Congratulations to Claire for her 3rd place finish in, let's see, she had 3rd in the US Open, right?
Yes.
And
yes.
she had 3rd in
second in nationals.
Second in nationals, that's right.
Yes.
So congratulations to Claire. I will probably get with her. Claire's just awesome. And
she also had 1st in mixed teams.
That's right. She had 1st in mixed with Rick. Rick. No, I'm just playing. I love Rick. He's a good dude. Learned a lot from him. But thank you so much for coming on the podcast. See, I told you it wasn't going to be that bad. It wasn't. Yes. It's just a conversation. It's just a conversation. But again, you guys handled this situation with absolute grace. And I think that you are just amazing ambassadors, all 3 of you, for the sport. And you set the bar high for sportsmanship. and I commend you for that. All right.
Thank you so
you.
much. Thank you, Frank.
Yep, no problem. So for those of you that are watching, this shindig is over. This podcast is done. You need to clap it up for these ladies when you see them. Give them, thumbs up, like, share this stuff, celebrate them because they deserve it. And this is the end of episode 31, the ladies of Target Nationals and the US Open. All right. I'm going to shut her down. So we're still live right now.